everybody, it's your girl Cordnie and Ellese, and welcome to my channel on mommyhood and entrepreneurship. And today we are going to be talking about the last 10 days of my 20s, y'all. Yes, if you're wondering, I don't think I've told you guys in any of my videos, but I am 29 years old, you guys, and in 10 days, my 20s will be over. So in this video, we are going to talk about the things that I plan to do in my last 10 days in order to be fruitful and just to kind of carry positive vibes on into my 30s. And then also we're going to talk about the changes as a mompreneur of some things that I went through and the things that affected me as a mompreneur, mommy and an entrepreneur, between the time I was 19 and 29. So let's go and get into it. And by the way, before we start, just a few things to know. Both of my kids are at home, so I'm sorry for any background noise. I'm pretty sure my son just went to use the bathroom, so you might hear a door open and close, and prayerfully, he doesn't peek in the video. But yeah, so if you hear anything, I apologize. Sorry, not sorry, but I'm still a mom. All right, so let's go and get into it. The very first thing that I would like to say is my life has changed a lot. But there are some things that are very similar to when I was 19 and 20 that are very similar to now. For instance, when I was 19, I didn't have any children of my own. So that was a huge difference. However, I was taking care of kids. So that's kind of, how it's the same. And weirdly enough, I was taking care of two children at that time. And now I have two kids. So that's really funny. But things really come back full circle. The next thing is I was really struggling to get to know myself. So I went through a very, very long-standing depression, and it just really made it hard for me to look up to my own self and to figure out my own goals. I did a lot of things based on what I saw the people who I admired around me doing. So I just really had a huge lack of self-identity. I knew that in me was a leader. I knew that in me was, a self-starter and an entrepreneur, but I just couldn't seem to get myself out of that depression enough to really be able to look up to myself as a person. So that was pretty huge. The next thing is back then I was really good at hiding my emotions and hiding my pain and even hiding my triumphs because I had been hurt consistently by so many people, and I was still in the process of getting hurt by those people. So I just really didn't open up the way that I really should have in order to be able to probably heal from that depression. And so that's a huge thing. And then the next thing is that I had toxic friends and relationships and family relationships back then, and now I just don't allow it at all. Period. I don't allow. We can be upset with each other, but we still have to talk to each other respectfully. I'm like that in my relationship with my kids, with my family, with my friends, acquaintances, business people. I will not let people call me out of my name. I will not let people treat me wrong or, manipulate me or anything like that. That's just what it is. Cool. Sorry about that. A little break. But that's just what it is. And so that's a huge difference. Now, let me tell you how those things relate to me being a mompreneur. Because first and foremost, in order to be a mompreneur, you got to be a mom, right? So the kids part goes into that. And then the next part is the struggling to know myself. Well, because I was struggling to know myself, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted as far as my life, my family life, my career, any of that. I was just kind of in this mindset where I was just going to do whatever I felt like. Or sometimes not even whatever I felt like, but whatever worked. So whatever job I could get at the time, whoever was willing to hire me. When you're 19 and 20 years old, a lot of employers just don't trust you. They think that you're going to quit as soon as you can. They think that you're immature and things like that. And so I was able to find work, but my work was all over the place. I was working retail and daycares and Walmart, even though that's retail, and just a bunch of random things. I was doing makeup back then. I wasn't doing photography yet, and that makeup was horrible, but I thought it looked good and they thought it looked good. Maybe it's because of the times. I don't know. Maybe it was good for that period of time, because we are talking about 2009 and 2020. So, 2009 and 2010. Now we're in 2020, so things were completely different. I watched kids at times. I mean, I was just all over the place. I didn't even have my first car at this time yet. You guys, I was taking care of two kids. So the way that I operated business was really more so, what can I do? What is going to work for me right now, right in this second? I was very, short-sighted when it came to business and short-sighted when it came to life. I was just trying to make it, you guys. I was going through so much, and I was just trying to make it. I still had college to worry about, had children to worry about. I was literally 19 and 20 taking care, well, technically 18 and 19 going into 20, taking care of a 15/16-year-old and I think a 7/8-year-old. And so it was just a very, very trying time. But I got out of, you guys. I made it out alive. It was hard though. It was real hard. And on top of that, a part of me still wanted to try to give something to myself during those times, and there just really wasn't room for it. So my mompreneur, status at 19 and 20 was, I am just trying to make it. The way that I view mommyhood and entrepreneurship now is everything has to be planned. Okay, it doesn't have to be planned to the T, but everything needs to have an overall goal. So I know the overall goal of how I want my kids to be. I know the overall goal for what I want their education to look like, what I want, the household to look like, what I want my relationships to look like. And then because I know what I want for myself and for my family and for, education and things like that, it's easy to figure out how those things can work together and work out smoothly. When you do not have your goals in line, right? Not even just your goal, but your vision for your life, for your family, for your kids, for your household, for your business, for all of those things. When you don't have those in line, it's going to be really easy for anybody or anything to pull you in any kind of direction and make you do any other thing. And eventually they're going to pull your strings and you're going to be pulled in all these random directions, and you're not going to have any clue as to what to do next when things get really, really hard. So now I'm at the position to where if someone sprinkles a little salt on my day, it is okay because I can fix it, Back then, when someone sprinkled a little bit of salt, I was out, okay? So that's a huge, huge difference. When it comes to, being super secretive about my pains and things like that, I learned the hard way to be very open and very vulnerable. Because when I wasn't open and when I wasn't vulnerable, nobody could help me. The best thing that God taught me to do, and I am Christian, I try to be the best one I can be, but Christ is the example. But the best thing that God taught me is that I don't have to go through life alone. I don't have to go through my happiness, my sadness, my business, anything. I don't have to go through it alone. If I am just willing to open up and share my struggles, my relationship. People always say, oh, keep everybody out your relationship. No. Don't keep everybody out of your relationship. Keep the people who don't need to be in your relationship out of your relationship. But when it comes to seeking wisdom, you have to find other like-minded Christians or, just other like-minded people with, the same values. And you have to know your values in order to know what those are. But you have to find other like-minded people who are either where you are or higher, so that they can pour into you when you need that, and give you the advice and show you yourself when you don't see yourself, right? So even when it comes to business, it's the exact same thing. And as a mom and as a business owner, because I've been able to be open and I'm not worried about someone stealing my business ideas, and as long as that business is already started. If the business isn't started, I do keep it quiet until I'm ready. But I'm not worried about people stealing my business ideas or my craft or my creativity, because I know what's meant for me will be for me. What is meant for you will be for you. And it took me a very, very long time to learn that, because I always used to wonder why this person had this and why this person had this. But once I stopped focusing on that and allowed myself to just be open and vulnerable, I was able to pour into people and they were able to pour into me. And then I was able to learn more about what I needed to do with my business in order for it to grow. Like literally, you guys, God took me on a huge, huge journey, and I learned so many lessons through my personal life that affected how I became a mom, that affected how I handle and treat my business. And those things are the things that I really want to teach you all, because ultimately, I thought that these were things that people already knew and that I was behind on the curve. But apparently, according to my friends and you all who have been responding on the comments or DMing me and things like that in social media, apparently I wasn't the only person who didn't know these things. I wasn't the only person who had to learn these things. And I thought that maybe it was because, like my growing up life was kind of messed up, that maybe I was just, off or something when it came to certain things. And no, we all have those learning curves. So that was huge. I had to learn how to open up, and as a business person, you're going to have to find people that can pour into you. That can be a mentor if you're, into mentorships. That can just be a friend. You can simply throw out ideas to people around you or people who are close to you, and just kind of get those, things back and find out, what are people's thoughts on certain things. And you don't need validation in your business, but you do have to be able to have the wisdom enough to discern what kind of things, you need to talk about and what kind of things you don't need to talk about yet. But, what's done in the dark comes to light anyway. So you might as well just open it all up and just literally just be vulnerable and let people pour into you and you pour into them, and then just watch people water your garden while you're watering someone else's. It works so beautifully, and it will always work in your favor. The last part of this part is I had toxic friends and relationships back then, and I don't have those now. And that is huge when it comes to mommyhood and when it comes to entrepreneurship. And the reason it is huge is because if you have people around you who are literally just weighing you all the way down and pushing you down, I'm not going to say you can't come up, but the struggle to come up will be so much rough, so much more rough. It's just rougher. I mean, honestly, trying to get through people just weighing down on you and just putting all of their struggles and all of their hatred and their meanness and whatever insecurities that they have. We all have insecurities, but the friends who love you will try their hardest to make sure that those insecurities aren't pushed and weighed on you, period. So if I have insecurities on my weight, that doesn't mean that I'm going to go and call another friend fat. If I have insecurities about, my social life, that doesn't mean I'm going to go and try to bring down another friend's social life. More than likely, what I would, just me personally, I would ask that friend to pour into me because I'm struggling with it, and if they're a good friend, they will pour into you if they can. And if they can, then they'll be truthful about that and say, I don't really know, I don't really know the solution. I just do it this, and this way, And so, I now have positive people around me who I may not like what they do all the time. Sometimes I might think, oh, well, that was sketchy. Oh, I didn't like how she treated me with that. Oh, I didn't like this. But because I love them and they love me, not even all the time do I even have to confront every issue. This isn't Real Housewives of ... This is real life. And at the end of the day, you don't have to confront every single issue. Sometimes you just have to take a pause, step back, maybe not talk to them for a while you get your mind under control. And then once you've calmed down, if it's still something that you need to talk about because it's a reoccurring or a recurring type of thing, then talk about it. But ultimately, you're going to need people who are actually going to pour into you, because if not, your mommyhood is going to struggle. Your kids are going to see you all over the place emotionally, and they're going to pick up those habits, and that will make your life so much harder. Your system will be out of place, your house will be out of place. It's really, and it all connects. Your business, your family, your life, your friends, they all connect. So if the people who are around you, especially the man in your house, girl, if the people around you are toxic, you really need to reevaluate your circle, honey. And that can include your mama, that can include your sister or your brother, your cousin, your best friend, your boyfriend, whoever. I ain't gonna say your husband, but maybe y'all just need to go to counseling so he can be a lot less toxic. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that your close circle, the people who you confide in, the people who are cheering for you, the people who you want to have your back, make sure that all of those people are pouring positivity into you, and make sure that you're doing the exact same thing back to them. All right, so now we're going to get back to the next part, or now we're going to start the next part, and we're going to talk about some of the things that have changed from then until now, as far as money, as far as business, and as far as mommyhood slash relationships. So we kind of already went through the relationships thing, so we're not going to really go into that so much, but I'll dibble and dabble as to where it needs to be said. And then as far as money, there were quite a few things that I didn't do then, or that I did incorrectly then, that I do correctly now, or that I do now. So one of those things, y'all, is that I did not save correctly. I have always been a saver, right? I have always been a saver, but I have not always been a good saver. I'd never saved with purpose. I would use the money that I save, overdraft my savings account, all kinds of fees would come out of my savings account. Y'all was always riding on broke. That's the second thing. I was always riding on broke. That money came, I saved it, I spent it, it left, and then I was looking for the next dollar to make sure I could pay that bill because the money had already left. That's just how my life went. And it was very unorganized, it was very unpretty, and it was very unprofessional, and it was not business minded. So those were the first two things. The next thing is that I did not spend strategically, which kind of piggybacks off of that one, but I didn't spend strategically. I didn't have a good budget. You know, this was before I found out about apps and things like that. I don't even think apps were a big thing back then, but I didn't have a good budget. I didn't have positive money examples around me. I didn't really have a plan for my money. So when my money came, I knew I needed to pay my rent. I didn't have a car back then, so I didn't really have to worry about a car note, but I knew that I needed to pay my rent. I knew I needed to have bus fare, and yeah, that was it. Because I really wasn't concerned about life insurance, and I really wasn't concerned about, everything else. I made sure that my lights were paid most of the time, but not even correctly. I just didn't have a real good enough plan. So the next thing is I was always wondering about money. I was always wondering, where do people get money from? How do people treat their money? What do people do with their money? And why is my money always leaving? But I was never willing to go and find those things out at the moment. I was always wondering where in the world my money went. And how I could get more money. So because I was always wondering about how I could get more money, I always found like little different side gigs or whatever that I could do in order to get more money, whether it was braiding hair or doing makeup or whatever. But I never kept that money to, once I got the money, it just left. Like I spent it on something that I thought mattered at the time, and boom, it was gone. Sometimes those things were very important, but because I didn't plan it strategically, it just left. The next thing is I was very uneducated. I was super uneducated about money. I didn't know about stocks, and I'm still learning about stocks, but at least I'm learning. I didn't know about stocks. I didn't know about bonds. I didn't know about real estate investing the right way. I didn't know about the different types of real estate investing. I didn't know how to make your money grow while you save it. I didn't know other ways to just invest your money and to pour your money into other things that can make you more money. Honestly, I just believed that, you had your side gigs if you wanted extra money, and then you had your regular job if you wanted your main thing of money. But, I always had side gigs because I always liked the extra money. But I was so uneducated about what to do with it and how to do with it and where to put it and things like that. I was living a 19 and 20-year-old life. And then the last thing is I wanted to fit in, so I had the fit in mentality. So because I was uneducated and I didn't plan my money out strategically, and I didn't save correctly, and I was always wondering about it, and I was uneducated, all of this stuff, because of those things, and the lack of knowing myself or being able to look up to myself, I wanted to fit in with everybody, like I said earlier, and I literally did the things that I thought would make me fit in, whether it was, buying clothes and stuff that I thought would look cute, or shoes or whatever, or, whether it was, buying the new I don't know, phone and things like that. I think I had two phones at one point and I could barely pay my bills. Why would you have two phones? I told myself one was going to be a business and one was going to be a regular phone. You don't need a business phone if all you have are side gigs, okay? So I think I just wanted it because Blackberries were hot back then and I wanted a Blackberry and I still wanted my cheaper wireless phone that came from Kroger. And I didn't want to get rid of that number. So that's just what it was. Um, so yeah, so that was a huge thing. And then as far as business, I really had this side gig mentality back then. You know, like I had all these different side hustles and I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I really didn't understand what entrepreneurship really looked like and what it meant. I didn't really start understanding what that really was until YouTube became really big. And that's because at that point, I was able to see other professionals, not, and I'm not talking about like YouTubers, but I'm talking about like actual professionals who would either be interviewed or whose lives would be showcased more for us to see and things like that. And then I realized, this is late 20s. Then I realized, oh, this is how you're supposed to do business. And so I definitely had a side gig mentality. I had money coming in, I would spend it on whatever I want, and then I would have to work really hard and hustle again in order to have that money to spend again. So, yeah, I did retail. I had regular jobs too, y'all, a lot of them. I did retail, daycare, side makeup. I didn't even start photography until I was pregnant with my son. So, you guys, I was all over the place. And now I am 29 years old, going into 30, and I am out of the side gig mentality. I'm not even starting nothing if I'm not going to let it be a real business, okay? So I have started one product business, but we haven't even launched that thing yet, okay? It's been like 60 days or so, and I've been setting it up. We've been testing the products to make sure that we actually want to sell from those vendors, trying different vendors. I've been letting other people, I don't want to give it away, but I've been letting other people, figure out how this certain product works and, give me the pros and the cons about this product and things like that. So I wanted to launch it on my birthday, but I actually think that I still want to wait until I'm a little bit more secure with knowing, okay, I like the way these vendors test it out. But at the same token, makeup and photography, those are my two businesses, and I'm slowly incorporating YouTube into it, and then I have the product. So I am like, if I can't give my all into it, I ain't doing it. I just ain't doing it, and everything is strategic, you guys. So tell me, that's the end of my video. Tell me what you think. This was my journey, and there are so many more details that I could have gone into, but then this video would have been 30 years long. And so I just wanted to kind of go over the overview of, where I was when I started my 20s and some of the lessons that I learned and the things that I had to change in order to get to this point, into a free, living and loving and happy part of my life. And my life is not by any means perfect. There are still struggles, and I have to work hard to make sure that I don't ever fall back into the depression. Thank God that I haven't had to, or haven't, because nobody has to fall into a depression, but sometimes you just end up in a depression. Not because you have to be there, but because your mind makes you go into it, if that makes any sense. But I haven't fallen into a depression a long time. So I really, really thank the Almighty for that, because ultimately depression is hard, anxiety is hard, and living that way is really hard to get out of. And once you are able to talk to people about it, and once you're able to be open and be vulnerable, not only will your depression and anxiety and your mental states change, but the way you operate your house will change, the way you operate your business will change, the way you operate your Christianity will change, just the way you operate your life in general will change. And so that's it for me, guys. Thank you for everybody who stayed until the end. If this video gets 50 likes and if the other video that I mentioned before, so you have to figure out which video that is. But if the other video where I mentioned gets 50 likes, then I will go on and post the side gig video for a lot of different side gigs that you can do if you plan to work from home, or if you just want to add something to your regular job versus starting an entirely new entrepreneurial business. So if y'all are interested in that, go on and share this with your friends and tell them to like my video. Thank you to all the new subscribers and the people who take the time out to comment and to share this video and to share any of my videos. And even the people who are texting me or emailing me or Facebooking me or Instagramming me with your support and your love, like all of that just means the absolute world. And it has been amazing in this journey to know that the tips that I have given are actually beneficial to you all. And so keep letting me know what I'm doing right. Let me know what I need to improve on. This journey is not just my journey, it is my journey, your journey. And as moms, we really do have to be vulnerable and open up and connect with each other, because we're not alone. We're not the only people who go through the things that we're going through. So let's have some conversations in the comment box. Let me know which one of these things you identified with. Are you turning 30 this year? Are you already early in your 30s? What are some tips that you can give me for this new part of my journey? Because my 30s are fabulous. They will be fabulous, and I can't wait until they start. So, bye, you guys. Ciao.